Walk the dogs, school drop-off, meetings from 10 to 3, take kids to soccer, then no time left for a jog.
When everyone else is relying on you, it's easy to put your needs last. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist online, so you can show up for yourself the way you do for others. Visit BetterHelp.com/positive to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/positive.
Your pharma and biotech company deserves a packaging solution provider that protects the safety of parenteral drugs. Are you looking for a trusted partner? For over 100 years, Datwyler has been the leading developer of high-quality materials. Their quality by design approach in manufacturing elastomeric components has a proven track record for meeting regulatory demands while improving patient outcomes. With their latest innovation, UltraShield, you can safely store innovative drugs. The path to patient safety starts with Datwyler.
Congrats, Blake, on the Fast X tickets, Boulevard Town West Theater, next Thursday. We're going to give away more pairs of tickets to those. We're going to have a lot of them to give away this week. Excited to do that. Love that partnership and love those opportunities. I don't know about you, Tommy. I am team movie theater. I want to be in the theater. I want more kids' movies because, we can't really go without the kids. Every time we go, we have a blast. I want kids in with me, and it's going to be fun. All right, let's jump to the IHOP hotline real quick. Brady's on the line, wants to talk a little about James Harden. Brady, welcome into Sports Daily. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. I really appreciate the conversation about James Harden, and I just wanted to add that I think he's at a point in his career, at age 33, being coached under Doc Rivers, where he has an opportunity here to show tremendous leadership. One thing about him, going back to his days at Artesia High School in L.A. and Arizona State, and even the Oklahoma City Thunder in the incredible years he had in Houston, nobody's doubted the numbers he's had. I think the knock on him has been his defensive prowess or lack thereof and his clutch play. This is an incredible player at only 6'5", who is one of the better shooters in NBA history. Doc Rivers has a reputation because he played in the league and understands the emotions players go through, bringing out the best in players. He does. And I really think that this is an opportunity for James. He got out of Brooklyn okay, and he's got an opportunity here. They've got a good nucleus in Philadelphia. So I really like what he's doing off the court with the Michigan State student and the generosity of spirit there. But I don't know, you guys. Like a lot of people in Wichita, I followed him when he was with the Thunder, and Sam Presti did not offer him a max contract. At the time, I didn't really understand that. And max contract.
Well, don't you think though? At that time, Brady, and it was a mistake. There's no question about that. Looking back, but at the moment, if you can only pick two of the three, which I think was the dilemma that they were, facing down, don't you think most people would have said you go Westbrook, Durant, even though it's very clear they should have gone Harden and Durant, right, and not Westbrook?
No, you're spot on. And what we found about Oklahoma City, not to change the narrative here of the story, those players did not want to be in Oklahoma City, and their agents were telling Sam that's why the Thunder have changed and gone toward an international movement. They want long-term players that want to stay in the area and appreciate the Midwest. Getting back to James, though, I have great faith in this guy. I really do. I see a spirit there. This is a critical time for him, and this is somebody that can score at will. It's his leadership and his defense and clutch play. Those are the intangibles. And you brought up a great analogy with Dirk Nowitzki. No, he is not a Dirk Nowitzki. One thing that Dallas loved about Dirk is his character. His character is incredible. And not to knock James. He's a tremendous player. But it's the leadership at this stage of his career and at this stage of the season. We know Embiid's coming off. He's got some issues with his knee, but he's had some good games. But we need James as the glue to.
I think we lost Brady there. Great stuff, Brady. I think we had just a little reception problem at the end. I agree. And this series has sort of been the microcosm. Like if they ever need that leadership, and it's going to come in the form of his scoring, which is pretty interesting, Tommy. That thing, like everyone's like, yeah, I can score a ton of points. They got to have it right now. Just look at this series. They were able to beat Brooklyn without him, but look at this series. In the 2 wins, right, 45 and 42 points. In the 2 losses, it's 16 and 12. Now, like. Yeah, they need him to step up and be the guy, but it's going to come with the thing he does best, and that's score. And I don't know if they can get 2 more wins out of this series if Embiid's not good. But if they are, it's going to be because Harden just is nuts offensively.
And don't you think one of the best things to happen to James Harden was getting out of Brooklyn? I mean, that wasn't a great
Sure.
I mean, I think that his individual stats were good. He was named an all-star and all of those things, but there was so much drama, surrounding that Brooklyn super team that didn't work out. And I think that he's got the opportunity now, and not a lot of players get this, right? You have, a bad stint in one city with one team, getting a chance to, sort of redeem yourself a little bit with the situation and with a setting and a coach and a team around you that is, I think, so much better for you, not only individually, but being able to accomplish what it's been that you've been lacking throughout the course of your career. And so, to Brady's point, the leadership hasn't always been there for James Harden, but he's got an opportunity now with this team, with the Sixers, and working under Doc Rivers, to hopefully help that and improve that. I think the biggest question on everybody's mind is that, can James Harden lead a team to a championship? And the jury is obviously still out on that. But man, I mean, the individual stats are there. There's a reason why, I think this was a couple of years ago, the NBA named James Harden as one of its greatest players of all time. There's a reason for that. The individual stats have always been there with scoring and assists and all of that. Can he lead a team to a championship? That's the big question.
It is very interesting. You brought Brooklyn up, and it's almost like there's been 2 chapters. You had Oklahoma City where he wasn't the guy, where he was one of 3, right? And then you had Brooklyn where he wasn't the guy, he's one of 3. And it didn't work out for him in either of those places. Then he was thrust into a larger role with 2 other teams, Houston and Philly, and it's worked out better. Philadelphia's not going to win a title if Joel Embiid's not a part of it, I don't think. I just don't see that. But they might be able to win this series, and that's what will be interesting, and love it. Thanks for the call there, Brady. Good stuff. Good basketball fan, clearly there. 869-1240 is the IHOP hotline. Tommy, we'll probably take this for a little bit here, but Chris Klieman, the news comes out yesterday from ESPN. I think it was Pete Thamel first reporting it. They're going to extend Klieman, and we've sort of seen this coming, and it made us wonder, when it was sort of in the spotlight because of the basketball run of like, oh my God, they've got to get Tang extended, but and we've talked about this with Tim Fitzgerald at length, like, yeah, but they've also got to get Klieman extended. And, the good news, I think, for K-State fans is it never seemed like that was going to have to happen simultaneously, almost like Tang wasn't in a hurry. And it's probably because they knew this was coming. So the report is now a $44 million contract that runs through 2030. So be, I believe, 8 more seasons. But you've got, Klieman, who's put together in 4 years a 30-20 record. He's 4 games over 500 in the Big 12. Of course, the big one was last year when they were Big 12 champions, beat TCU in the Big 12 championship game. $5.5 million per year. So not like the highest paid coach in college football by any means, but it's about $1.5 million raise. I wonder now, Tommy, because it's always been just a little bit of a question of like, God, what if Iowa comes open, or what if one of these schools? I think, to me, when I see this contract, it makes me think this is the one that makes sure Klieman's not going to go anywhere. It's hard for me to imagine, and maybe Iowa is still that way because he's got all the connections and the ties there, but it's hard for me to imagine like him taking another job now after a second raise that K-State's been willing to give him. And I think that that's fantastic news for K-State because clearly things have changed there. Now, I don't know what this does for Colin Klein, long term, right? Because we wondered if Colin Klein getting a big extension and staying was sort of an insurance policy for Klieman. So I don't know what that does there. I don't know if you can make him the Venables of Kansas State and just keep overpaying him, or at least among his peers, as your offensive coordinator. And I know Klein's a big part of the recruiting. That part of it's a little bit interesting to me, but it's certainly good news today for K-State fans, as Klieman has seemed like the perfect fit in Manhattan to take over for Bill Snyder.
You brought up Venables, and this new contract for Klieman that they're in the process of finalizing, this puts Klieman in the top 3 in the Big 12 as far as coaches being paid, behind Mike Gundy and Brent Venables. And keep in mind, Venables in Oklahoma, they're not going to be in the league, a whole lot longer. So very soon, Klieman will be right behind Mike Gundy as far as the highest paid coaches in the Big 12. It's deserved. I mean, without a doubt it is. I think that locking in a coach like Chris Klieman, who has not only improved the fortunes of Kansas State during his time in Manhattan, but also built a culture, done things the way that he's wanted to do them, and it's worked out. Of course, the crowning achievement is winning the Big 12, playing in the Sugar Bowl last year. Of course, he was due a payday. I think that it is essential for Kansas State to lock him in, for as long as possible. And there could always be the draw and appeal of a program that he's got emotional ties to outside of Kansas State, like potentially in Iowa or something like that. But I think that getting a deal like this done, shows that Kansas State is not only committed to him, but committed to continuing to have a program that is competing for Big 12 championships. It's getting into the upcoming college football playoff, competing at the highest level possible. That's ultimately the goal. And by locking in Chris Klieman, they're showing a commitment to try to do that year in and year out.
So you said this, and it's really interesting. 3rd highest paid coach in the Big 12, right? Venables, Gundy. That
Right.
means K-State fans right now, Kansas State, and this is what should, I think, bring supreme optimism for the future of this program. K-State's paying its football coach more than Texas is. And that is pretty wild to think about, right? Just imagine that reality. Kansas State is paying its football coach more than Texas is.
They're currently paying their football coach more than Sonny Dykes is making at TCU, and Dykes took TCU to the national championship.
But that's okay. That doesn't have the shock value of, and really only Texas and Oklahoma do. Oklahoma State, obviously, with Gundy, why he's being paid that way. But to imagine in just like, and I was talking to a great K-State fan over the weekend about, Jerome Tang and the basketball program, and could we ever get there with, and I said, the basketball run has been fantastic and amazing and awesome, but it is not the top priority. I mean, as much fun as that was, and as much as this is a basketball state and fans want it, it is much better to be a great football school. And this solidifies you as a great football school. Everyone, you sell out all the games, all that's been good. Well, now all of a sudden your recruiting profile is intensifying immensely. All of a sudden, you have a coach who had a long history of coaching up and being a part of NFL guys, right? Now that's translated. And we saw Skylar Thompson go to the league and, relatively speaking, find success in the sense that he can, his staying power when nobody thought he was going to be there, right? By the way, think about this. Nobody thought Skylar Thompson early in his career was an NFL guy. Definitely nobody thought Will Howard was an NFL guy early in his career. Skylar Thompson's in the league. Will Howard, I think, will be in the league. I'm telling you. And they also just went and added Adrian Martinez, by the way. If you have that kind of track record with quarterbacks, and K-State becomes a quarterback factory, the rest will fall in line. And so, they are so set up for, and it's hard to even have the words come out of your mouth of more success than they were able to find under Bill Snyder, because that legitimately seems sacrilegious to say. But it's there with the NIL world that exists now and the transfer possibilities and this coach's ability to get quarterbacks to the NFL. And now the school has paid him. and now the facilities upgrade is coming. Like, it's all lining up for K-State to become a legitimate football power. And that is the greatest achievement of any athletic department. I hope basketball stays awesome because I love it. And Jerome Tang is contagious and like all these great things. This was priority one, and they got it done. And I hope that it means long-term continuity because the fan base deserves this for sure.
Find me another program in America outside of Alabama and I guess Ohio State that develops quarterbacks like Kansas State does. I don't know if there is one. I think that, look at what they've done in the draft. It's difficult to do, and there have been multiple quarterbacks now that we're seeing.
Oklahoma, for a while there, did it.
For
Lincoln
a while,
Riley.
But they're more of a
Lincoln Riley's going to have that track record, right? Like
they've got more of a defensive-oriented head coach now, so I'm not sure that the quarterback development is going to be there for Oklahoma long term. I think Kansas State develops quarterbacks better than Texas does. I want to correct something really quick. I mentioned that Chris Klieman is making more than Sonny Dykes. We don't know that because TCU is a private university, so they don't disclose the salaries. So we don't know how much Sonny Dykes is making, or Baylor for that matter. They could be up there. We just don't know that. But regardless, the new salary for Chris Klieman, it does get him in the top 25 nationally. So you're paying a coach at the top levels, the top tier echelon, to develop quarterbacks, to get them to the pros, and to win Big 12 championships.
And culture matters, and he's always just been such the right fit in that way. At what point do you put like a Gene Taylor statue up somewhere? Because, man, the guy just keeps getting it done for K-State.
He's made great hires that nobody would have thought of that would have been as good as they are.
Two extensions, right, for Chris Klieman, and whatever NIL opportunities exist to land Avery Johnson. Dude's killing it. K-State is killing it. So tip of the cap to Gene Taylor for getting that deal done. Congratulations, K-State football fans. You deserve this one. It's a pretty exciting thing to happen. That it's getting some national run, which is good. But just that they can get it done and hopefully take a little of that stress away. Even though I think people were less stressed with Colin Klein, there was a lot of risk in that, and I think this takes some of the risk away. I think Klieman now will lock in long term. All right, let's take another break. 869-1240. We'll get back to the IHOP hotline. It's open for your calls. Plenty more to come here on Sports Daily on a Monday edition.